Good morning. Today we are on lesson 103 of Saxon Book 3, and the title of today's lesson is Ordering Numbers Through 9,999. For our first example, we have these three numbers here in purple, and I want to show you one strategy that you could use if this is a skill that's still kind of difficult for you. So the first strategy I want to show you is instead of listing the numbers like this, which is how they wrote them in the book, I would list my numbers lined up by place value on top of each other. Notice that all of my ones are in the ones place here, all of my tens, all of my hundreds, and all of my thousands. So the question for this one wants us to order these numbers from least to greatest. So in looking at this, I'm going to look at my biggest place value, which is my thousands here. I have a 3, and this nothingness here is really a 0. So I can see that 372 is my least value, my least number, smallest number. Okay? So that one's taken care of. So now I have to compare these two. The thousands place is exactly the same, so I move on to the hundreds place. I have a 6 here and a 7 here. Since 6 is less than 7, I know that 672 is going to be less than 3,712. So this right here would be my answer for the problem where I'm ordering these three numbers from least to greatest. For my second example, we have a bunch of addresses. The second example is a word problem, and it's talking about a mail carrier who is going to deliver mail to all of these house numbers on the same street. So our last lesson was on sorting, and we talked about how we might sort different groups of numbers. This one kind of brings that sorting skill in as well as the ordering numbers skill. So if you have ever noticed on a street of houses, all of the even numbers are on the same side, and then across the street, all of the odd numbers are on the same side. So if you were a mail person delivering mail, you don't want to zigzag across the road. So you would probably sort out your mail so that all of the even numbers are together in a pile and all of the odd numbers are together in a pile. And then you would want to put them in order so that you don't have to flip through your pile each time you come to a new mailbox. So let me read the question. A mail carrier might arrange mail for a street using these two rules. Rule number 1. Order mail with even numbered addresses from least to greatest. Rule number 2, order mail with odd numbered addresses from greatest to least. Follow these two rules to arrange these addresses into an even numbered column and an odd numbered column. So the first thing we want to do here is decide what numbers are even and what numbers are odd. So I'm going to color code it. I'm going to make blue our even numbers, and I'm going to make purple our odd numbers. And we're going to determine each of these, and then I'll circle it according to the color. So remember, from even and odd, we only need to look at the ones place. Is 7 an even number or an odd number? Since 7 is odd, this whole number is odd, and we'll circle that with purple. Looking at the ones place here, is 2 an even number or an odd number? Since 2 is even, this whole number is also even. Looking here at 3 is odd, so we'll circle that in purple. 9 is odd, so we'll circle that one in purple. 2 is even, we'll circle that with blue. And 8 is even, so we'll circle that with blue. Okay? Now that I have my numbers separated, I can just look at the even numbers as I figure out that list. So we'll start with even. The rule for even said order mail with even numbered addresses from least to greatest. So I'm only looking at my three numbers here that are in blue. Starting with the thousands place, I have a 5 here, a 5 here, and a 5 here. Since they're all the same, that doesn't help me. Now looking at the hundreds place, I have a 3, and a 3. Once again, they're all the same, so that doesn't really help me out. Tens place, 4, 5, 4. That's helpful. I want the smallest number, so I'm still not quite sure which one that is, but I know that this isn't it. So now I'm going to compare my ones place, a 2 and an 8. 2 is smaller than 8, which tells me this is the smallest even number. Cross that out so I don't use it a second time. And I remember this one was the biggest, so that means this is going to be my number in the middle. Use that one, and now my largest. And I've taken care of the even numbers. So now moving on to odd, the odd rule was a little different. They wanted us to order them from greatest to least. So it's the same kind of skill, I'm just looking for the biggest instead of the smallest number now. So thousands place, 5, 5, 5. That doesn't help me out. Hundreds place, 3, 3, 3. Once again, doesn't help me out. Tens place, 2, 5, 3. Perfect. I want the biggest number, so that's going to be my 5 in the tens place, which means 5,353 is my greatest address. 3 is greater than 2, so 5,339 is going to be my second greatest address. And the only one left, 5,327. Okay? Those are the only examples for this lesson. However, we are going to go over the lesson practice problems together so that you get a little bit more practice. Starting with problem A, they give us 4 birth years. They tell us that there are 4 people in a family, and these are the years that they were born. We have a 1998. We have a 2002. We have a 1976. And we have a 1974. Okay, and the problem says arrange these years from earliest to latest. So when we're talking about time and years, the smaller numbers are going to be earlier because with our calendar we count up from year 2019, 2020, next year will be 2021. So here, the earliest year is going to be the smallest number. Okay, I want to start with my thousands place. I have all ones and a 2. This is my biggest number. I can tell just by looking at the thousands place. So I'm going to write that down at the bottom of my list and then cross it out. Now looking at the hundreds place, 999. That doesn't help me much. 977. Ooh, I can see that this is the next biggest number, so I'll put that one right above my 2002. Okay, so now these are going to be my smallest numbers, and I have to go all the way to the ones place to figure out which one is the smallest, which would be 1974. So these 2 dates here are probably going to be mom and dad because they're the older people of the family, and then we've got 2 kids here born in 1998 and 2002, 1976, and here is the answer to that problem, ordering the dates from earliest to latest. Problem B is talking about a census. A census is where people come around and ask about the members of your family. They want to know how many people live in each town. It's how different governments get funding and we keep track of kind of our communities. So in 2000, they did a census, and there were 3 different counties, and conveniently enough, they start with an A, a B, and a C. So this is Archer County, Blanco County, and Castro County. So in Blanco County, there were 8,418 people. In Archer County, there were 8,854. And in Castro County, there were 8,285. So this is the information that we're given. What the question asks is for us to list the names of the 3 counties in order from least population to greatest. This is kind of a tricky question. Frequently, when there's a question like this on the test, my students will order the numbers from least to greatest, but then they'll forget to actually answer the question. So once we do the ordering of the numbers, we're going to come back to that question. So, least to greatest. Looking at my thousands place, they're all 8s. So, looking at my hundreds place, perfect, they're all different. So, 8, 4, and 2. 2 is the smallest number, which means this population is going to be the smallest. 4 would be the next smallest number, which means this population goes in the middle, and 8 is the largest, which means this population goes at the bottom of my list. Now, like I was saying, when something like this is on a test, so often my students will give me this as their answer, and I have to mark it wrong, even though the answer, the math behind the answer is correct. But listen carefully to the question. The question says, list the names of the 3 counties. It doesn't ask about their populations. It wants us to list the counties in order from smallest to largest. So we needed to do this to figure that out, but now what we're going to write for our answer is this was Castro County. This was Blanco County. And this was Archer County. So here, that's not what we want as an answer. This is what we're looking for our final answer for that problem. Okay, last problem has to do with money. It is good to be able to do this skill when you're comparison shopping. So we've got Robinson, who wanted to buy a video game. He went to 3 different stores to see what the prices were for this video game. So at the first store, it was $18.85. At the second store, the same game was $19.25. And at the third store, the same game was $17.98. So we could do the same trick that we've been using, calling this thousands or even tens, ones, tenths, and hundredths. We could totally do that, but since this is money, I like to just get rid of the change and say, okay, we've got 18, we've got 19, we've got 17. The question wants us to put them in order from least to greatest. So $17 is going to be my least. So $17.98 goes first. 18 goes in the middle, so $18.85. And $19.25 is my greatest price. So if I were going to purchase this game, I'd go to the store where it's $17.98. That is the end of our lesson. If you are my student, please make sure you turn to your written practice, which is on page 551 in your textbook. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.